hard should Genshin Impact be? Every time someone asks for Genshin to be harder, another casual player has to choose between Starbucks and Columbina. And I think the problem is everyone asking this question is playing a different game. I think Genshin players fall into three groups. First, you have casual players who still try. These are people who build their characters, level talents, farm artifacts, and maybe even attempt Spiral Abyss. Some of them clear, mostly because they've been playing for years. Second, you have meta tryhards, usually whales. Spiral Abyss doesn't matter to them. They're too busy speedrunning Stygian Onslaught or doing whatever this is. And third, you have new or returning players. These are people who log in, see 15 systems, 6 banners, 3 currencies, and immediately feel like they've missed a college course. And these three groups are playing completely different games. So who do you design the difficulty around? And this gets even messier when you remember one thing. Genshin is a gacha game. Every time the game gets harder, it becomes harder to stay free to play. If you make the story too hard, you risk losing new or casual players entirely. If you make endgame too hard or heavily biased towards new characters, you can't make rewards meaningful without causing backlash. And nowhere is this tension more obvious than Spiral Abyss. Spiral Abyss is considered the standard endgame content in Genshin Impact. It works because to clear it comfortably, you're expected to have level 90 characters, strong weapons, level talents, and extremely good artifacts, or you can ignore it completely and miss out on about 800 Primo Gems every month. Now let's imagine a hypothetical Abyss rotation. Say the enemies are spread out, highly mobile, and basically require grouping to clear efficiently, making a character like Venti pretty much mandatory. If you don't have Venti and you're a long-term casual who just pulled the characters you liked, you're gonna struggle unless your teams are in the top 5% of optimization. And when you lock rewards behind forced characters, people kinda got a little angry.
Did you kill him?
What kind of fucking animal do you take me for? No, I didn't kill him.
Oh, fuck.
But I did kidnap his wife.
Oh, no.
From version 1.0 to around 5.0, Spiral Abyss enemy HP alone has increased by roughly 7 times. Enemies are now resistant to multiple elements, directly weakening entire team archetypes, and Abyss buffs are always favoring the current banner characters. This is not difficulty based on skill, this is called artificial difficulty. Either you don't have the right character, or your numbers simply aren't high enough. Content itself isn't more complex. Enemies just take longer to die. But here's the other side of the problem. If you do have level 90 characters, good artifacts, and maybe a few constellations, Spiral Abyss becomes extremely easy. There isn't much mechanical depth. Most hyper carry teams boil down to standing directly inside the enemy's hitbox and hoping they don't mind how close you're getting.
I hope you don't mind if I smell you. I just like staying real close.
Outside of basic dodging, there is very little combat mastery involved, and that's the core issue. Genshin difficulty swings between two extremes. You need a specific character to beat a mechanic, or your stats aren't high enough, so you lose. Neither of those tests player skill in a meaningful way. The best combat games follow a simple philosophy. Easy to learn, hard to master. Genshin is easy to learn, and once you've learned it, you're basically done. After that, all that's left is resin and money. Now, I don't want this to be just a complaint video, because Genshin's newer endgame modes are genuinely good. Imaginarium Theater is great because it forces you to think about team composition in a way you've never had to before. It encourages experimentation instead of hyper-focusing on 2 teams forever, plus, you get to try out some characters you may not have used before. And Stygian Onslaught is fantastic for players with highly invested accounts. At that level, the game is too easy, and Stygian actually pushes them. But I do think there's one major thing Genshin is missing. Bosses that require active dodging and awareness. Not invulnerability phases and not time-wasting mechanics, but actual engagement. Because nothing makes me want to stop playing more than mechanics that just waste my time. I hate this stupid crab! Why do I need to build Tighnari? Why does it fly away for half the fight? Other games do this way better. This might not be a perfect example, but I love the combat in Zenless Zone Zero. Switching characters feels impactful, attacks feel deliberate, and boss mechanics don't boil down to a one-dimensional damage sponge. But Genshin can't fully pivot to that style. We are too deep. So what is the solution? Genshin is already overwhelming for new and returning players, and power creep only makes that worse. And as we get closer to the game's final chapters, it becomes more important than ever to not make everything exponentially harder. The answer isn't one difficulty curve, it's multiple endgame formats designed for each kinds of player, and keeping those formats somewhat separate. If Stygian Onslaught is supposed to be the hardest one, you don't need Spiral Abyss to be the same difficulty. And for the hardest content in the game, the reward should be meaningful but mostly cosmetic and permanent. If I clear Stygian once, let me keep that proof forever, because next patch, I might not be able to do it again. At the end of the day, Genshin is a game where you can ignore half its systems and still have fun. Whether that's peak design or a massive waste of potential, I'll let you decide. But maybe the real question isn't how hard Genshin Impact should be, it's who you think the game should be hard for.